I was in a different market when I started out in the industry, particularly Latin America was really my first market, and then going to New York and then DC and then coming back to Chicago. The thing that I've seen happen is there's been a real interesting popularity with theater, and especially in the mid-Atlantic, where theater blew up in the 2010, like around 2010, and we saw all these different production companies spring up overnight. Saw House of Cards start filming in Baltimore. We saw Veep start filming in Baltimore. We had all these different films that brought all the actors together in this area in this really, really interesting way. The problem was that everybody thought they could make a theater company overnight, and then all those theater companies crashed overnight. And that was happening, as it turns out, simultaneously in a lot of different markets where theater was starting to gain some kind of ground.
You've cut your teeth, for lack of a better term, at some pretty large institutions. Going from a Goodman in Chicago and then beginning to work at a Neo's, like, what is that experience like?
Oh yeah, can I drink some of this water? I see you got some water here in this mug for me. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no, I sent that
Thank
water.
you.
I shipped it to him safely, CDC approved, fully sanitized before it got to your door. This is not a cheap production.
No, it's not.
The come up
It's
is
not.
expensive. Like, you're in a suit.
Yeah.
You're wearing a tie. You have a jacket on. I'm in the same color I was in last week. Like, I have some stripes to make it exciting.
You look good. I love stripes on you. You can rock a pattern. You see, and we're national TV, so I just felt like I had to,
This is international. This is worldwide.
international. See, this is my point. This is exactly my point. No. Good girl.
Oh.
She does tricks.
That transition from Goodman to Neo's.
It was incredibly severe. Really changed my thought about how much is actually done on a larger scale in terms of the fact that there's a department for everything at the Goodman. There's a person for every role. It wasn't until I got to the Neo-Futurists and I had to become all those people. I had to become our audience development coordinator. I had to be our HR. I had to be our accountant. I had to be our marketing manager, right? A large-scale organization still has to deal with what those long-term goals and who actually gets to decide that. And going to the Neo-Futurists, everybody in the company has a stake in terms of decision making. And I really, as a managing director, I'm really more like a prime minister to two houses, working with the board to make decisions, but also working with the ensemble. We're often talking about the art, about where the art lands in terms of our communities, but being at the helm and having a space in Andersonville means that I also have a lot more work to do in terms of making sure that our relationships with our neighbors are holistic, are seen through, and we're supporting the community. So you posted a photo today, I think, of you dancing.
The cover photo on my Facebook is me at Jorge's wedding. The wedding was in the winter. It was like December. When did you get married? I don't remember.
November. It was November. It was the beginning of November.
Counts. November, December. Same month. I'm going to wear this very spring look to this very winter wedding.
You looked more Miami Vice than you did like Dia de los Muertos. I love seeing that photo just because you're clearly the life of the party,
I don't ask for this life. It was given to me.
Right. You're really Caesar in this, in like when it comes to fun. It is that responsibility is thrust upon you.
What has it been like living with someone in the medical field right now?
There's a moment where Emily wasn't on the front line. She works in an acute rehabilitation hospital. Now they are accepting COVID patients, and not too long ago, actually last week, we had a scare. She's okay. She tested negative, but her hospital is now accepting COVID patients, which means that she's at high risk of exposure, which me being with her means that I'm at high risk of exposure. And though we are likely to be okay, we have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And I feel like I've been having to make difficult decisions left and right. This is starting to sound like me bragging, but I have all these students and I'm trying to take care of them as well, because the other conversation that I'm having in the art world is this all futile? I know that people process things differently, and I know that there's going to be theater artists who can't create at this moment, but there are those who want to create, and I think that's fantastic. If we're creating right now, we're translating that emotion. And in the same way we praise dramaturgs for taking the time to contextualize a play, we're going to ask to contextualize this moment through the arts. The stuff that we've created at the Neo-Futurists with our online platform, The Infinite Wrench, goes viral. The feedback has proven that now we're actually getting to see all these testimonials come back and say, like, this is something that I needed, this is creating routine, and it's brilliant to still feel connected to a community in some way, shape, or form. I came back to Chicago and I was watching the Neo-Futurists, and it became very clear in that moment that if I wanted to see the work, I could do that work, and I could also perform that work, and I could direct that work. because that's what the Neo-Futurists do.
What is the Infinite Wrench? And two, how did we make it viral?
Yeah, so the Infinite Wrench is our flagship show. We have a very specific aesthetic. We're non-illusionary. We always play ourselves on stage, so the audience can yell out to the performers what play they want to see. They're never like Shrek on ice or anything like that, right? They're always themselves. They're always themselves, and that's a part of the aesthetic. It's a very big part of the aesthetic. When we decided to shutter the doors, we still felt the impetus that we wanted to see the work continue. We wanted to honor that part of the mission that says that we are ongoing and never changing. And if there's any theater company anywhere that can create a show in a week, it's got to be the Neo-Futurists, because that's what we do anyways. And thus, the Infinite Wrench goes viral. I'm proud of the ensemble. I'm so proud of our staff, and I'm so proud of our board for coming together to make this happen. For those who are just trying us out for the first time, they can see everything laid out for them perfectly, so that there's no learning curve. You get to just come in, be a part of the show, be a part of the experience, and maybe come back the next week.
I'm not new to the Neo. I love the Neo-Futurists, and because the Neos are new every week and fresh every week, it just made sense.
We've been doing this for so long. At this point, we're not really that punk rock. But stopping and just translating is just one step for us creating the digital platform. And I know that whenever we get to the other side of this and we get to have shows in our space again, we'll be able to pick up like that. Our ensemble is a fantastically talented crew of writers and performers, and thus why we're seeing what is now really Neo-Futurist film.
I think it's really good to have these conversations and talk about like what's next. And I'm inspired by the shift and the pivot that Neos have been able to take. No one can do what the Neos do. So I don't think that will ever happen, but I think that there are some pieces that people can learn from the work that you're making.
I hope that there is actually that people can do what the Neos do, because I think Neo-Futurism is for everybody. Everybody can do Neo-Futurism, because at the base of it is people telling their own stories.
That was such a managing director response. That was good.
We come together on a Tuesday to rehearse. The show's got to go up on Friday. I think that's what makes the brevity possible, is that we're not getting caught up in the preciousness of all of it. It's just do the damn thing.
Do the damn thing. Jorge, thanks for being here today. Before I
Thank you
let
for
you go,
having me.